What's good, everybody? I'm happy to say our GOAT, the King, the Lion King, the King of Africa, Dricus du Plessis got the win over Kamaru Usman. I'm happy as hell. And this video, we're going to talk about what's next for him. What's next for our GOAT in this middleweight division. And all I got to say is, Imavov, my brother, I'm sorry, all right? But let's get into the fight. Let's get into what happened, how it went down. Usman versus DDP. Now, my prediction for this fight was a 4th round, 5th round TKO. I thought early Usman was going to get out, was going to get on the legs, get on the takedowns. He was going to be able to hold and, well, not hold, but he was able to take DDP down for the first 2 rounds. Maybe hold him for a little bit, but DDP was going to be able to scramble out. And in the later rounds, Usman would show his age, would show his gas tank a little bit at this point in his career. And DDP would start to pour the pressure on. And like I said, I think Dricus du Plessis is probably the worst person you ever want in front of you if you're gassed, if you're rocked, if you're hurt, if you're uncomfortable. You don't want this big fucker with this big ass South African head in front of you, all right? You don't want that shit. But honestly, what ended up happening was pretty insane. Usman came out first round almost, I think, just completely not a single takedown shot in the first round, if that's possible. If I'm remembering correctly, not a single takedown shot. Not a single takedown attempted, right, from either one, obviously. And it ended up just being a striking affair. In the first round, Usman got rocked pretty bad by DDP. In the second round is when it was the worst. The head kicks that DDP kept whipping up, the knees up the middle, even just the looping, typical goofy-ass Looney Tunes right hands of Dricus du Plessis. They were going through and hurting Kamaru through the guard. Just basically, this guy showing how heavy his kicks, his hands are, hurting Usman on various occasions, making him wobble. Usman did such a great job of keeping a poker face and being able to reset the fight, recovering. He recovered from every time he got rocked. I think he only got dropped one time, I believe, and it was like his legs buckled. He was never dropped on his ass, never dropped on his stomach on some Daniel Cormier shit. It was never nothing like that. So I thought that was very impressive from Usman. His chin held up really well. But DDP just kept rocking him over and over again. My prediction, like I said, it was 4th round, 5th round TKO, where the ref had to step in. I never expected, a cold Usman going out cold. But it ended up just being a 5 rounds, 49, maybe, honestly, I don't know what you would say, 49-48 maybe for DDP. You could maybe give Usman the 3rd round or maybe the 5th round, okay? I think it's weird to say that because did he get it? Did he win it or not? In my opinion, DDP won all 5 rounds. I think as I was watching, I felt pretty unbiased watching that. But honestly, either the 3rd round or 5th round. You could give one of those to Usman if you want to. Honestly, that's just for respect because it was a unanimous decision. It should be a unanimous decision. I'm very glad of how the scoring went. I think there was very correct scoring. And yeah, just an overall excellent performance from DDP showing how well he manages his gas tank, how he was able to stay patient and not chase the finish, right? Because so many times Usman got rocked and recovered. So DDP locked in and he was like, all right, let's not chase the finish. His coaches told him, hey, the finish is always going to be there. Just wait. If it's really clear, it'll present itself. And he did a great job of that. Great performance. Love this showing from DDP. It's what I expected to see in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. I expected the first 2 to be a lot more takedown heavy, right? But Usman, I guess, was not maybe ready. Maybe it was an injury. Maybe there was a thought that he can't do what Hamza did to DDP. And that's what I thought, man. That was exactly my prediction. All right. So let's get on to what's next. But first, we got to address the little fella in the room. The French man in the room. Who's going to address him, bruh? You're not getting this title shot, my brother. All of the options we have ahead of us, DDP versus Hamza, right? DDP versus Strickland. Strickland versus Hamza 2. Strickland versus DDP 3. These options are so much better. It's true. Imavov's been the number 1 contender forever. He's beat Kayo, who was on the come up, right? First guy to beat him. He beat Adesanya really well. I think first guy to KO Adesanya after Pereira, right? In their first fight. He beat Brendan Allen, who just got a really good win over RDR. These wins of Imavov, they've been looking good. None of them were at all bad showings. There was nothing that was there's no robberies. Never, there wasn't an injury, anything like that. So Imavov's done great. He deserves a title shot. But this motherfucker stays so quiet on social media. Has no personality when it comes to the press conferences. Builds no hype for the fights. I did not give a fuck. I don't even remember him fighting Brendan Allen. That's how bad that is, bro. I don't remember Imavov fighting Brendan Allen, and I remember fucking Macy Barber main eventing, right? I remember this shit, but I don't remember this fight, which is crazy because it's a middleweight matchup in the rankings, and I don't remember it. insane. So yeah, man, Imavov's getting cooked. He's not getting the title shot. All the options ahead of him, right, seem better. Even if Usman had won against DDP, he'd get a title shot against Strickland way earlier, you know, because he had that win over Strickland back in the day, whatever. It just doesn't seem like Imavov's getting anywhere near to the title picture. Now, Strickland versus Chimaev 2. My issue with this fight is that I don't think it's going to happen. I know, right, Chimaev or whoever runs his account was texting, oh, Strickland, I'm going to see you again. See you soon on some Yoel Romero shit. But right after he left the cage, Dana White said, he walked up to me and said, I don't want to move up to, I don't want to fight at middleweight no more. I don't want to cut to 185 anymore. And this motherfucker has had weight issues for his whole career. You know, welterweight, I get it. You know, I think he made welterweight 3 times or 2 times correctly and then kept missing his shit. He had to fight Kevin Holland because of a weight issue or something like that. It's always been weight issues with Chimaev's fat ass, right? He's always had weight issues. He always had immune system issues. I see him, honestly, realistically, stalling for maybe a year at this point, right? Maybe 8 months from now. And then we just see Paulo Costa versus Chimaev at 205. And it's a #1 contender shot. Whoever wins gets to fight Oberg. Some shit like that. Whoever wins gets to fight Yuri. Some shit like that, right? I see that happening. I see him moving to 205. So the Strickland versus Chimaev matchup, which is 1/3 of this little love triangle that we built, right? With Chimaev, Strickland, and DDP. I don't think that's going to happen. With the fact of him stalling, with his weight issues, all that, I don't see him cutting down to 185. He looked like shit against Strickland. I do believe it was a weight issue. And I believe it might repeat itself if he again fails to cut weight correctly, right? If I had to make a prediction for that fight today, and it's happening next week, I'd be like, hey, this might sound like fence sitting, but if we see something in the fight camp that Chimaev's having a bad cut, Strickland. If he has a normal cut, correct cut, whatever, Chimaev. I believe Chimaev would have won that fight if he'd been able to use his grappling more. He got a couple of takedown stuff, you know, first round, he did like he always does, but he gassed out so quick, and I do think that's a weight issue. Anyway, I'm just coping, all right? But let's talk about what to do with Dricus du Plessis, Dricus du Papi, all right? DDP is so much more deserving than Khamzat, than Imavov, even taking into account everything I said. Yes, Imavov beat Kyle Bohayo. He beat fucking, what's the guy's name? Brendan Allen, right? He beat Izzy. But this guy, DDP, came up, beat all a bunch of guys that are similar caliber to the ones I just named, you know, Kayo, Imavov. He beat Whitaker, knocked him out. When's the last time someone knocked out Whitaker, right? In my mind, it might be the first Izzy fight since someone knocked out Whitaker. It's been a long time, right? Whitaker's gotten submitted. He got submitted by Chimaev. But knocking out Whitaker, and the way he knocked him out too was like a stiff-ass jab, dropped him. Everyone thought he was going to lose. Came up, beat Strickland in a very close fight, their first fight. Some people might say it's a robbery, whatever. When fights are that close, right, and it goes to a split decision, there's no robberies, bro. Like, unless one guy clearly won that fight, like, super, like, 4 rounds to 1, but it's still a split decision, it's not a robbery, man. It's up to interpretation. I gave it 3 rounds to 2 to DDP when I was watching, and at that point, I wanted Strickland to win. So my bias was actually in Strickland's favor, and I still gave that fight to DDP. Whatever. First fight, DDP beats Strickland. Strickland goes out. I think he fights Paulo Costa, gets a rematch against DDP. They run that shit back, and he beats him even worse, bro. Breaks his nose, has him looking like a registered pedophile, right? The way his mustache was out there looking in Australia. Great fight. And then defends against Israel Adesanya in the meantime. So this guy had 2 title defenses, right? He beat it off Strickland, who's now the current champion. He has 2 wins over the current champion. Versus Khamzat Chimaev, who came in, put on a boring-ass performance, did no damage to Dricus du Plessis, unless we're counting emotional damage, right? And then just lost the belt immediately to the guy that's now the champion, who had also lost to DDP twice. DDP is so deserving of the belt, and I understand now. I see the vision, the Dricus du Plessis huge cranium move of waiting like a year. I think he waited for almost a year, like 11 months, to fight again, because he was seeing like, hey, if this shit happens, if Strickland is somehow able to beat Chimaev, I can get my belt back now. Like, he could honestly fight for the belt in 2 months. He hasn't taken damage. Strickland didn't take that much damage against his fight with Chimaev. I mean, it was pretty bad, but not like the second DDP fight. And yeah, man, I think he's more deserving in every way. I think the UFC brass are going to say that. The public's going to say that. And he has to take advantage of this momentum he has now after beating Usman and get on it, bro. So yeah, man, that's what I think should be next for DDP. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think about DDP getting the next title shot? Do you think it's too precipitated? Are people ignoring Imavov? Like, what are we going to do with Imavov, honestly? Something I asked myself, not that much, because I don't really care about Imavov. Maybe he could fight. Hamza's not going to stick around to fight Imavov. Usman's not going to want to fight Imavov. That's a bad matchup for him. There's really nothing for Imavov to do except wait and just keep fighting up-and-comers. You know, maybe give him Christian Leroy Duncan. It sucks, right? It sucks for Imavov because this guy, he's done everything you'd ask him to do. And still, you know, he's getting tossed up. He's getting passed up, man. So, whatever. Sucks for Imavov. Should have been more entertaining, buddy. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go low-key play some Tarkov, bro. I'm not going to lie.